Hello and welcome everyone. The topic for this video is using Azure AI Search for Fabric OneLake unstructured data. So as most of us are aware that we can use Fabric data agents to query structured data on lakehouses, but by using them, it's not possible to query or communicate with unstructured data that is stored as a PDF, docx or txt files. But with Azure AI Search, we can use a no-code approach to communicate or query that unstructured data on OneLake. In fact, the approach is not just limited to Fabric OneLake. We can use this approach to query unstructured data stored on Azure Cosmos DB, Azure Blob Storage, Azure SQL DB, your ADLS Gen 2 storage, and of course the OneLake storage. In this demo, we'll be building an agentic RAG on Fabric OneLake to query the unstructured data stored on it. So before we move on to the demo, let me just give a brief introduction on what is Azure AI Search. So Azure AI Search is a service from Microsoft that helps search the unstructured data easily and quickly through classical search and agentic search approaches. So you might ask, what is classical search and agentic search? So let's take an example of an e-commerce site. So you're searching for running shoes on it. So in an e-commerce site with classical search, your search is limited just to the keywords. In classical search, when you search running shoes, the underlying search engine looks into index and finds the keywords, finds the products containing the keywords running and shoes and returns the relevant products. But with an but in an e-commerce site that has an agentic search implementation, your search can be, say for example, best running shoes under $200 for beginners. The AI search engine reasons the user search through an LLM model and queries the underlying source to return the results using classical search. All right, so under the hood, agentic search uses classical search to return the results once it reasons and understands the user input. Conceptually, in Azure AI Search, the idea is pretty simple. So you have a data source, then you have an indexer, then you have an index with or without an AI skill, then you have a knowledge source that is based on this index, and then you have the knowledge base that is dependent on the knowledge source, and finally you have the user query. To start with Azure AI Search, you first bring your data from underlying data sources like your blob storage, your OneLake, or your Cosmos DB. Then you create an index on top of it, which is like a structured version of your data, but it is optimized for searching. So then you can use indexes to automatically pull data from your source and update the index. So indexes is kind of a service that pushes the data from the source into an index. Once your data is indexed, you can run your search or AI queries on it using keywords, filters, or other advanced options. And also, you can extract information like key phrases, detect languages, or analyze text using built-in AI skills. All right. So overall, Azure AI Search is useful when you have a lot of unstructured data and want users to quickly find what they're looking for without building everything from scratch. Okay. So let's start with the demo. So what you see on my screen is a lakehouse folder called as an literature, and it has two files, two PDF files. One is the door in the wall stories.pdf and second is the war and peace PDF. These are two non-fictional stories. I'll quickly open those files for you. So as you can see on the screen, so this war and peace is a non-fictional story by Leo Tolstoy and has almost 1530 pages. And the second file, the door in the wall and other stories, it has almost 105 pages and is authored by H.G. Wells. The size of these files, the door in the wall and other stories, like almost half MB, and the war and peace.pdf is like almost 5 MB. So in our demo, these two files are going to act as a source. So to start implementing the Azure AI Search, what you'll have to do is that you'll log into your Azure portal, search under the search resource services, search for AI Search. Okay, and once you have that resource listed, you'll have to click on it, and this will be the landing page. And here you click on create search service, and then here you'll have to enter your service name, the Azure AI Search service name, and select the resource group and subscription. Since I have only one resource group, I'll select that resource group, and here you'll have to enter the literature, your service name. In our case, I'll just enter literature search service. Okay, and location. So you have to be very careful about this location because the Azure AI Search requires a premium property called as a semantic ranking, and this semantic ranking feature is not available for all locations. So when I search for South India, so this feature is not available on South India location. So I'll just put it to default here, which is Central US. And pricing tier, there are different pricing tiers. So the we'll select the free pricing tier, but this is very limited, like in terms of storage and vector quota. Like storage is only 50 MB and vector quota is 25 MB, and number of indexes and index it supports is only 3. So we'll select the free pricing tier. All right, and then we can click next. So as we have selected free pricing tier, these two options are disabled, and then we can go and create the Azure Search service. So you have the Azure Search service created. Okay. In the next, so there are few options. Then you can select to upload your to push in the data into this service. So one is through like a manual approach, wherein you create your index, then you define your data sources, and then create the knowledge sources and knowledge base, define your vector columns. Or you can just use this import data option, and this option basically creates all the intermediate steps through the process. So here here the first thing we'll have to do is that choose our data source. So the data sources are blob storage, ADLS Gen 2, Cosmos DB, Azure SQL DB, your Azure table storage, and Microsoft OneLake. So we'll select the Microsoft OneLake, and then these are three scenarios that on which you can create your Azure AI Search. So one is the keyword search. So this is the classical search approach. So if you want to implement a classical search, you can select this option. Then you have the RAG, which is like a simple vector-based RAG approach. And third is the multimodal. If you have a complex data source, like consists of complex images, diagrams, charts, overflows, you can select this multimodal RAG approach. So we'll select this RAG option. Okay, so you'll have to connect to your OneLake. So you can do that by using your lakehouse URL or by entering the lake workspace ID and the lakehouse ID. So we'll just enter the lakehouse ID and the workspace ID. So we'll have to enter the workspace ID, and then we'll have to enter the lakehouse ID. And here you'll have to enter the your folder name on which your unstructured data is stored on. So one of the biggest drawback with Azure AI Search is that it doesn't support your sources that has Parquet files. So in case if your source folder has Parquet files, Azure AI Search will not work. Okay, so we don't have any Parquet files here, so you can just enter the folder name, which is literature. We can keep the parsing mode to default, and manage identity type. You have to select the system assigned or user assigned. So we'll select the user assigned. So under user assigned option, if you see the user assigned list is not getting populated. So this is because we have not assigned any existing user assigned to this search service. So we can do that from here. So I have an existing user assigned manage identity. So I'll select that, called as Azure AI Search Manage Identity. So once it's assigned, so that is once it is assigned, so that assigned user manage identity is listed here. So you can select that, then click next. By the time it's validating the source connection, what we'll have to do is that we'll have to assign the user manage identity access to this workspace. So we have to go to this workspace and click on manage access. So it's okay, it has validated it. And here we have to enter the Azure managed underscore. Okay, AI search manage identity. So it's better to give contributor access. Okay, now you can see that we have that Azure AI search manage identity access to this workspace. All right. Okay. In the next step, you'll have to vectorize your source data. So here you'll have to select the Azure OpenAI service. So in this Foundry portal, I have this S-K Azure OpenAI resource. And under that, I have two models, GPT 4.1 and text embedding ADA 002. So GPT 4.1 is a chat completion service, while text embedding ADA 002 is a vector embedding service. So you'll have to assign one of those vector embedding services to vectorize your data. So this is my Azure OpenAI resource, S-K as I showed here. SMSK. And then your model would be text embedding ADA 002. And to click next. As we don't have any images or we don't want to extract any text from images, we can just uncheck this option. Okay, so this is what I was telling about. It's one of the premium premium services. So that is available on only few locations. So we'll have to keep this enabled. If we had selected a location that doesn't provide this feature, then we would not have this option in this step. All right, so we can index field we can preview and edit. So these are the few index fields that the import option created for us. So it's chunk ID, parent ID, chunk, title, and text vector. If we have not, if you wanted to create these steps or create these indexes using the manual approach, you'll have to define every columns. But the process creates the process creates those intermediate steps automatically for us, and we have to schedule. Okay, we'll select only once, and then here we'll say literature search, SEARCH index, and we can say create. So it's creating the indexer. So this basically takes some time. Yeah, so you have the index and the index is ready. So if we go here, we can see we have this index and we have the indexer. And if you click on the indexer, you can see that it's processing the source files, your source data. I mean the vectorizing and pulling the data from your source. Okay, but by the time it gets completed, what we'll have to do is that we'll have to assign the user managed identity to which we granted access to the Fabric workspace and also to the search service. We'll have to assign the API access to this search service. So you can to API access to the OpenAI SK service. I mean the S-K resource, OpenAI resource. So to do that, we'll have to go here. We'll have to open this S-K Azure OpenAI service. Go to access control IAM. So basically what we are doing is that we are just granting API access to this Azure AI Search user managed identity. Okay, and we go here, we say add role assignment. Here you'll have to say cognitive. It is this role. There's a cognitive services OpenAI contributor role. We'll click next. Go to manage identity, we select members. And we select the manage identity, user manage identity, that is this Azure AI service. We select the service. Okay, okay, it's X. And then we review and assign. Okay, so this already, I think for some reason, is already assigned. We can just double check that quickly. Okay, it's already existing. Okay. Okay, now let's get back to our indexes and check on the progress. So indexes, check the indexes. Okay, it's completed. So number of docs processed were 2. And we can go to our index. Open the index here. Yeah, we can do like a quick search on the index. Yeah, so I have all the vector embeddings. And if you go to vector profiles, I mean, if you want to change the algorithm, I mean, this algorithm, it's like default inherited from the model that you have selected for vector embedding. We can check that, and we can, for the vectorizer, in case if you want to change the model, you can do that from here. Like if you want to change select some other vector model, we can do that through here, SK, and you can do that from here. Okay, so we are done with index and indexer. Yeah, data source. So basically, the import option created is data source as well for us. If you open this data source, so here you can see that it's pointing to the the Fabric workspace and lakehouse. I mean, this is the workspace ID and the lakehouse ID. I mean, if you want to change it, you can update or change your use manage identity. You can do that from here. Edit any options. Okay, now let's get back to our knowledge source. So we'll have to first create the knowledge source. We'll create the knowledge source. Since we have already created the index, we'll select this option, search index. And here we can say literature, search knowledge source, something like this. Yeah, ARCH, literature search knowledge source. The index that we created, and in the advanced configuration, you have to select the data source field. So in our case, it will be title and text vector, and search field also would be title and text vector. The semantic configuration would be literature search index. The semantic configuration that was enabled for this search index. We click create. So now we have the knowledge base created. We can go and search here. We have the knowledge source created, and then we have the based on the literature search index. In the next step, we'll have to create the knowledge base. Now, knowledge bases are dependent on the knowledge sources. Okay, so we'll have to create this option here, add knowledge base. And then we can select an existing maximum 10 knowledge sources are supported. So we select the one that we created, and here we can just say literature knowledge base. And then reasoning effort we can put it to medium, and your deployment model. This is the chat completion model that we'll have to select. So here we'll have to select the Azure Open AI service. Then we'll have to select the model. So as I mentioned earlier, I have this model for chat completion service, and under user assigned identity, I'll select the Azure AI Search manage identity. Okay, so now we have the knowledge base ready. I'll just click on save. Okay, so I'll just run few queries. So there are a few characters in this uh, fictional story, like Andrew and Rostov. So I'll just ask the knowledge base, like who is Prince Andrew? So there's a character called as Prince Andrew. So I'll just like, so I'll just go here. Okay, it's taking some time. Yeah, I'm not sure why. Yeah, so Prince Andrew is a handsome man of. So it has gave all the details. So in the next, let me ask something else. Who is Rostov? So there's another character called as a Rostov, and here it even points the source from where it has selected the information from. So Rostov is a war and peace refers to Nicholas Rostov, son of so and so, everything. And let's ask something different. So what was the role of French? Of French. Role of what was the role of French? Sorry, I think I missed the was. What was the role? Hope so. It understands French. Okay, so yeah, so the French play central role in war and peace as both military and blah blah blah. Okay, so let's query this other file, the door in the wall and other stories. Let me ask it to summarize. Can you summarize the door in the wall and other stories? So is this one door in the wall and summarize? I'm not sure why it is taking this. Okay. So Door in the Wall is a collection of short stories that includes titles such as Door in the Wall, The Star, Cone. Yeah. Let me ask something, a question based on an incident. Like for this uh, story, let me ask like sorry, what was found near East Kensington Station. Let's do a quick search on that. Kensington Station. Okay. So they found his body very in this East Kensington. It has two shafts. Okay, let's see what is it replies. Okay. So a body was found very early in the morning in deep excavation near East Kensington Station. The excavation. Yeah. All right. So that's about it for this demo. And I hope this video was useful in helping you get started with Azure AI Search and gave you the clear understanding of the different approaches it offers. With these capabilities, you can enhance your search experience and explore more advanced scenarios confidently. All right. Thank you very much for